Then they all heard the sound of hooves, and at the same moment they saw dark shapes coming swiftly on the path from the fords. The moonlight glinted here and there on the points of spears. The number of the pursuers could not be told, but they seemed no fewer than the king's escort at the least. When they were some 50 paces off, Eomer cried out in a loud voice, "Halt! Halt! Who rides in Rohan?" The pursuers brought their steeds to a sudden stand. A silence followed, and then, in the moonlight, a horseman could be seen dismounting and walking slowly forward. His hand showed white as he held it up, palm outward in token of peace, but the king's men gripped their weapons. At 10 paces, the man stopped. He was tall, a dark, standing shadow. Then his voice, clear, rang out. "Rohan! Rohan, did you say? That is a glad word. We seek that land in haste from long afar." "You have found it," said Eomer. "When you crossed the fords yonder, you entered it, but it is the realm of Theoden the king. None ride here save by his leave. Who are you, and what is your haste?" "Halbarad Dunadan, Ranger of the North, I am," cried the man. "We seek one, Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and we heard that he was in Rohan." Good evening, friends. Today we talk about Halbarad Dunadan, the leader of the Grey Company, and Aragorn's captain, I guess you could call him. Halbarad Dunadan, we don't know when he was born, but he passed in the year 3019 in the Third Age. And what we do know about him is that he spent most of his years as part of the Wandering Rangers of the North from the Lost and Fallen Kingdom of Arnor, and he was one of the group that was specifically assigned by Gandalf and Aragorn to patrol the northern borders of the Shire. The passage that I spoke of just now was actually Halbarad's first introduction in the books, where him, along with Elladan and Elrohir, muster the Grey Company and arrive in Rohan to meet with Aragorn shortly after the Battle of Helm's Deep in order to push Aragorn and carry a message from Galadriel and Elrond that he need take the Pass of the Dead. And it is at this point that they unfurl a great banner showing the white tree of Gondor and 7 stars. I forget what their significance is, and the crown, but essentially the banner that would become Aragorn's standard, his sigil, if you will. And Halbarad was the banner carrier from here until his death. They pushed through to the Pass of the Undead together. They stood at the Stone of Erech and summoned the undead army, the king, and the rest of them that had Isildur had foretold would serve a purpose in the reunification of Gondor and would serve the future king of Gondor. And eventually, once they pushed forward with the ghosts, they assailed the Corsairs of Umbar. They took their ships. They rallied the southern fiefdoms of Gondor in the Bay of Balfalas, and the Grey Company and Aragorn pushed through and attacked from the river to the south of Gondor and came to the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, where it is said that Halbarad fell during the battle. It is unknown how specifically he died, but that is where he met his untimely end. Now, let's talk about Halbarad in the game. I don't have him unlocked yet on this account. I do have him on my main. He was one of the first characters that I pushed through farm, and actually on my main, where I'm kind of semi-dolphining a bit, I purchased him. He's a tank. He is a tank for the Ranger faction. As you can see, he is a human tank, two-handed, heavy, and he is a leader. So he is actually the leader of the Rangers in the game. His leadership ability for the Rangers, what it does is it grants them focus. It also makes it so that when they receive Eagle Eye, they have a 50% chance to grant advantage for 1 turn to that squad member, which eventually becomes a higher ability chance. They have increased focus, and yeah, basically whenever one of them gains Eagle Eye, they also get advantage, so they crit more. His main ability, it attacks, deals damage. It also gives weak-minded. Weak-minded is the tenacity down debuff or bane in this game. So essentially, when you use your normal attack with Halbarad, it will make it more likely for the rest of your characters to be able to land debuffs on that character. His second ability is one of his best ability, in my opinion. The Rugged Medicine. There's not a lot of light side healers in the game right now. And what this does is at first it heals a base amount and a percentage amount based off of Halbarad's health. and it also applies, or it gains defensive on Halbarad. And then as you go through and level it up, it heals more allies, heals more raw damage, and then heals, or it adds one more stack of defensive as well. His final ability, or his final usable ability rather, is a taunt, which is at first it's a damage, 120% damage. He gains taunt. If you have Miri, another ranger character, active as an ally, she will then assist Halbarad, and it'll be a really cool like team up RP hit. You also gain deadly to yourself and Miri as you level it up, and on crit it grants deadly to all ranger squad members. So it's a great ability. It's one of those things where like rangers really are a late game team for sure. His passive, the tall tower, had what was it? There's it's never been confirmed, but there's speculation that his name is a combination of Sindarin and Noldor Elven language of Hal and Barad. Barad meaning tower, Hal meaning tall. But there's no confirmation of it. That's actually like a footnote in I think the Tolkien Gateway website. That's probably where the game developers pulled that information from. But his passive is basically whenever a ranger gains stealth, they have a 50% chance to get Eagle Eye. And as that goes through, you get more max health for them. Whenever rangers gain stealth, you get to heal yourself. So basically, it all plays around the whole stealth thing and always Eagle Eye as well. Now, Halbarad, what do I think of him in the game itself? I think the community has him ranked as an S tier character on the website. And I think maybe none of us really know what he is until we get further on into the end game, because right now he's really not that impressive. I think he would be really, really good if it wasn't for the prevalence of Ironhide, Gaz Ironhide the Troll. One of the big issues is on turn 1, you can either heal or you can use your taunt. With the Rangers, the way that they want to work is you want to be able to taunt turn 1 in the arena, because that's going to protect Aragorn, it's going to protect Miri, and it's going to protect Elrohir, because Miri and Elrohir are both very, very squishy right now. And if you get that taunt off turn 1, Halbarad's speed is higher than Ironhide's typically. So after you get that taunt off, Ironhide is just going to go through an AoE dispel your taunt on Halbarad. It's going to AoE dispel your stealth on Miri, and you're going to have a bad time. So typically the way I run him is I'll go through and heal on turn 1, which is great, but then the defensive stack you have on him is going to get dispelled anyway. So you kind of heal, and then the downside right now is that the AI seems to either tunnel focus Miri or Halbarad, and like nothing in between. And kind of the shitty way it works right now, on my main at least, is that with Miri being so squishy and Elrohir being so squishy, either you heal turn 1 with Halbarad, by the time you hit turn 2 for the taunt, you're already at low health with him, or Elrohir and Miri are already dead, so what's the point of a taunt? It sucks right now. It really does. I don't think Halbarad in-game is as good as people say he is, personally, and I've been using him. I think later on, when we get Eladin as a 5th Ranger character, we'll really be able to see, because that's Eladin being a second tank for that team, and I think is really, really what that team is missing. And it's unfortunate where they are right now, because I think Halbarad is such a cool character in the mythos, and even though his footprint in the books is so small, he's one of my favorite supporting characters. A lot of my favorite characters in the books, once you get past like the main characters, like in the Fellowship and whatnot, all come from the Return of the King, and a lot of these kind of the characters, the minor characters that kind of converge in Gondor, whether it's Halbarad or Prince Imrahil and other people. But ultimately, I don't know where the axe comes from either, because in the books he's described as wielding a spear or the banner, one of the two. So the two-handed axe was an interesting choice, CG, but I get it. He's also a little pretty boy looking compared to a lot of the more rugged art that's out there for him. Obviously, there's not much of a description of him other than he's tall. But yeah, that's it. What do you guys think about Halbarad? Have you unlocked him yet? I know he's kind of one of the slower farms. Like this store farm with him and oh, who is it? Shagrat? No, it's not Shagrat. It's Bolg. It's very, very slow and time consuming. So let me know in the comments. Do you guys have Halbarad yet? What do you guys think about him so far? Do you think I'm crazy? I don't know. I think he's good but not great, but I think it's too early in the lifespan of this game for us to really be able to be out here and say that these characters are S tier or not. There is no meta yet. There is no meta. Anyways, that's all. Love you guys. Bye.